Okay, this is a short video aimed primarily at those of you who are having difficulty with your Visio showing the database model, in that the template is not showing up, so you're not able to draw the relational database design. So I'm assuming you are able to draw the ER diagram using the crow's foot notation. So in this video, what I'm going to show you is how to use this single crow's foot template to draw both the ER diagram as well as the relational database design. It's not ideal, but this workaround should serve our purpose for your exam, and you will not have any point deductions if you use this one tool, the crow's foot tool, for both the ER diagram as well as the relational design. So let's start with that quickly. So here's, I start off with this particular template and hit create. And so these are the tools on the left hand side to draw your conceptual data model, the ER diagram. So I'm just going to draw a quick ER diagram. I won't discuss too many details because you've seen it before. So here's entity 1. I'll just give it a name. Oh, let me increase the size here. So let's just say this is entity student. I'll give it a primary key called student ID, and one attribute is student name, and another attribute is student email address. Okay, so there we have our entity called student. Now I will create another entity called faculty, and let's give it a primary key as faculty ID. One attribute will be faculty name, and another attribute is faculty email. Okay, so we have two entities here. I will create, let me shrink it a little bit. I'll create a third entity called course. The primary key will be course ID. An attribute name will be course name, and how many credit hours, course credit hours. Okay, so far very easy. We have our three entities. I'm just going to create a fourth because I want to show you all the different kinds of relationships also. So I will create another entity called student club. Student club, and let's say the primary key is the club name, and one attribute will be the date on which the club was started, and let's say I don't need a third attribute. I just delete that. Okay, so I have my four entities, and now I'm going to connect them by relationships. And the reason I've drawn four entities is so that I can show you the different types of relationships, and then how the second step converted to the relational database design. So the design that you're seeing in front of you is the conceptual data model in the regular ER diagram, and I'm assuming your Visio had the template to draw this diagram. So that's my starting point. So let me draw the relationships first. So I have one relationship here. So faculty and student. So here's faculty and student. I'll just give it a name, teachers. You can give it any name that you want. And one student can be taught by many faculty members. They take many courses, and a faculty member could teach many students. So let's just assume that it's a many-to-many relationship. So I right click and I take the set identifying off, and I'll make it many-to-many. So end symbol, I'll make it 0 or more, and the begin symbol, I also make it 0 or more. Okay, so now you can see this is a many-to-many relationship between student and faculty. Now I'm going to create a one-to-many relationship between faculty and course, meaning one faculty can teach many, can offer many courses, but one course is offered by only one faculty member. Okay, so this is just my assumptions. Team teaching is not allowed. That's what I'm assuming. So here's the relationship. So here's, I connect it to faculty and I connect it to course. And I have a one-to-many relationship here. Okay, so one faculty member, oh, I have to give a name to this particular relationship. So since I already have the name teachers for the first relationship, let me just call this offers. So a faculty member offers multiple courses. Okay, and one course is offered by exactly one faculty member. Okay, all right, so this is a one-to-many relationship, and I will have a third type, which is your one-to-one again. So let's say between faculty that every student club must have a faculty advisor, and it can have only one faculty advisor. And the faculty member may or may not advise a student club, but if they do, they don't advise more than one student club. So it's a one-to-one relationship between faculty and student club, but it's optional. So let me, here's, I connect one end to student club, the other end to faculty, and I will give it the name advisors. Okay, and I'll take off the identifying because this is not a weak identifying relationship. Oh, that reminds me, I need to take the identifying characteristic off here also. So I got the dotted line back. Now let me come back to this relationship called advisors. So a faculty advises a student club, but you can see it's not quite correct. It's one-to-many. I need to make it one-to-one. Okay, so I set the end symbol to be 0 or, sorry, I want it to be 0 or 1. End symbol to be 0 or 1, and the beginning symbol to be also 0 or 1. So do you see? It's a one-to-one relationship between faculty and student. So a student club is advised by at least 0 and at most 1 faculty member, and a faculty member advises at least 0 and at most 1 student club. So it's a one-to-one. And I've deliberately set up these relationships so that you can see the 3 different types: one-to-one, one-to-many, many-to-many. Okay, so in the first phase of your database development, you would go from a narrative to a diagram like this, and I'm assuming that all of you, at least in your whichever version of Visio you're using, you're able to draw this diagram. Okay, so the main thing is you are having difficulty for the second step, that is drawing the relational database design, and I want to show you how to use this same tool, okay, to draw the relational database design. So first of all, you need to save this file. So I'll give it save as, and let's see, I'll save it in documents. What am I doing here? I don't want to. So browse documents. So I'll call it tutorial MIS310 tutorial 01. Okay, so I've saved this as a file. Okay, and now let's say I want to convert this to a relational database design. The first thing, so that I don't disrupt my previous this diagram that I've just drawn, I first save it under a different file name. So I do file, save as, and under documents I call it MI tutorial 01, and I call it relational database design. Okay, so relation RDB, just to remind myself that the second step is going to be the relational database design. So now notice that in the ER diagram, you're showing the primary keys of the different entities and the relationships, whether using the crow's foot notation, whether they're one-to-one, one-to-many, or many-to-many. Now, the main difference between this diagram and the relational database design is that you explicitly show the foreign keys in the design, and also you cannot have many-to-many relationships. A many-to-many relationship has to be broken down, and I will not go over the rules. You know that from a different tutorial. So let me start the easiest one. When you have a one-to-many relationship, you have a one-to-many relationship from faculty to course, which means the primary key of the one becomes the foreign key of the many. So essentially you have to insert a new attribute in the relation called course. The name of that attribute will be faculty ID, which is the primary key of faculty. So take the primary key of faculty and make it the foreign key of course. So now I highlight course and I highlight this last attribute. Let me make some space. So I right click, and you see it says insert attribute after. So I insert an attribute, and let's see what that name should be. It should be faculty ID. So faculty ID. So do you see I've put the foreign key in, but I'm not quite done yet. So I just right click on this box and I say set foreign key. Okay, so then Visio puts in the label that this attribute is a foreign key, and you must remember to do that, because then I know that you did the transformation correctly. Okay, so a foreign key has been put in. Okay, so now I have made this transformation of this one-to-many relationship. I've put in the foreign key. Now let's go to the one-to-one relationship. The rule of conversion says that when you have a one-to-one relationship between faculty and between two entities, you take one of the primary keys and make it the foreign key of the other. So I could take faculty ID from faculty and make it the foreign key of student club, or I could take club name from student club and make it the foreign key of faculty, but I can't do both. Okay, so let's say I decide that I will take the primary key of faculty and make it the foreign key of student club. So I highlight this one, excuse me, I highlight date started, right click, insert attribute after, and I give it the name, excuse me, faculty ID, and then I right click it again and I say set foreign key. So I have labeled this attribute as the foreign key. So I know when the instructor is grading this thing, they know that you have taken the primary key of faculty and put it in as the foreign key of student club, and that's how the connection is done. So this part of the database design is finished. Now I only have to fix the many-to-many relationship. So let me make some more space here. I'll move this over. So just to create some more space, move this down a little bit. Okay, so now you know that the rule says that when you have a many-to-many relationship in an ER diagram, when you convert it to the relational database design, you will need to create a third table, a third entity, which is called the intersection entity, that combines the primary key of the two parents. Okay, so I will have to create this new connection entity, and I'll give it a name. You can give it any name that you want. I'll call it stu fac. Okay, and this thing will have a composite primary key, which will consist of the primary key of student and the primary key of faculty. So here for the attribute, I put in one of the components of the primary key, which is student ID. And now I highlight this and I say insert primary key attribute after. So I want the second attribute as the primary key. So I insert primary key attribute now, and I put faculty ID. So I hope you saw now how this composite primary key was created. So you have this bar above which is the primary key, and you have these two attributes, both of which on the left hand side it says PK. Okay, all right, so I need some space here. Let me move this out. Okay, So I have to replace this many-to-many relationship by a pair of one-to-many relationships. So I'll have a one-to-many relationship from student to this intersection entity, and then I'll have a one-to-many relationship from faculty to this intersection entity. So let me do that first. So I bring in this relationship line here. Let me see which one is the one. Okay, so the one is on this side, so I connect one to student and I connect many to student faculties. Oh, that doesn't look good. Let me try it again. So here's the relationship. Okay, maybe I'll just connect it here and connect this here. And I got to change the names, of course. So I right click on the relationship, uncheck set identifying. That gives me the dotted line back if I want it dotted. If I want to keep it identifying, then of course I right click and I check the set identifying. I have to give a name to the relationship, and I'll just give it, I'm cooking up a name here, student intersect. That means it's a relationship connecting student to the intersection entity. Okay, so this is just an arbitrary name that I've cooked up, but I need to change the cardinality. It should be one to many from student to student faculty, right? So I click over here. The end symbol, currently it says 1 and 1. So I need to change that to 0 or more. So you can see on the intersection entity, the cardinality has become many. Okay. And now on the end symbol, I need to make it 1 and only 1. Oh, sorry. Should be the beginning symbol. Beginning symbol should be 1 and 1. There you go. So if you look at the relationship now, you have one to many from student to student faculty. Okay, so that's one piece of the relationship. Now I have to set up a one to many relationship from faculty to this intersection entity. That's the last piece. I bring it over here. So I connect the many on this side and I connect the one over here. Okay, so you have one to many. It's already been connected the right way, so I don't need to change anything. I just need to give it a name. So I right click on the relationship and I give it the name fac intersect. So do you see you have a one to many relationship from faculty to student fac. So now that I've set up I've broken up this many to many relationship into a pair of one to many relationship. I can now highlight this relationship called teachers and I can delete it. I hit delete and it goes away. So here is my relational database design. So let me just shrink it in size. So this is your relational database design because you can see all the relationships. You can see the primary keys, the foreign keys, and how the foreign keys link pairs of tables together. So I have shown you how to use the crow's foot notation to draw the relational database design. So this is relational database design and you have two separate files now. So I've saved this file, save. So if you do file save as, you can go back to documents. You can see, let's go down to where my other files are. You can see you have the first one, which is the ER diagram, and the second one, which is the relational database design. So I've just shown you how to now what's missing from here is if you were able to use the database model tool within Visio, what you could have done is gone into each of these attributes and specified that they are character 10, integer, long decimal, all those kinds of things you could have done, which you can't do in this diagram. But for exam purposes, this will suffice. So if you're having difficulty with Visio drawing the second piece, that is the relational database design, then this tutorial shows you how to use the ER diagram to do both, and it'll be fine if you represent both models that way using this particular tool. So I hope this video will be useful to you.